Welcome to the Non-Negotiable Living podcast, where we're building lives by design by creating non-negotiable habits around fitness, family, faith, and financial freedom.
Hey friends, welcome back to the show. Today's episode might feel like a gut punch to some, but I promise you it's one of the most important conversations we can have, because most people say they want to change. They say they want a better body, a better marriage, more energy, a new job, better pay, deeper joy. But the truth is, they don't really commit until they've had enough. So what does it mean to have enough? I'm talking about that rock bottom, tired soul, can't stand my own BS for one more day kind of enough. It's the moment when you're sick of complaining about your weight while doing nothing about it. You are tired of blaming your boss, your spouse, your past, and finally realizing that you're the one keeping yourself stuck. You've listened to yourself recycle the same excuses, the same bad habits for so long that you can't even believe yourself anymore. That's the moment when things start to change. So let's talk about the lies we tell ourselves. The first is, I don't have time. If you're taking the time to listen to this podcast right now, then you have time to work out. If you found me doom scrolling on Instagram, then we have time to work out. Nothing says that exercise or self-growth or reading or spending time with our kids or connecting with our spouse needs to be a time-staking thing. We can set an intentional 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes aside in our day to do the thing we need to do, and we all have that time. Now the next one, especially with fitness, it's just my genetics. Most of the things that people struggle with from a weight perspective, from a biology perspective, from a chronic illness perspective are self-induced. Yes, genetics play a part. They have a role. They determine a lot of things. But when push comes to shove, the majority of people who struggle with their health, with their weight, with trying to change the way that their body looks and functions for them is just based on habits. They need to move more. They need to lift weights to build muscle. They need to eat in a reasonable way. This is what we're after. The next one that I hear all the time is, I was just raised this way. This is what was exemplified to me. And ladies, I get it, because I was not raised in a real productive manner. My parents were not healthy. They did not make good choices. They were both drug addicts. They were both alcoholics. My mom chain smoked and chronically dieted. The example that I'm setting for my children is not the example that was set for me. So at some point in our life, we have to take ownership of the fact that just because you were raised that way doesn't mean you have to raise your kids that way. It does not mean you have to live that way. We have to make the choice to break free of that. Or the people who say, I'd make a change if my partner supported me. If you have a partner that doesn't support you in getting healthy, then you have a bigger problem. But besides that, you need to make the choice to be healthy, whether your partner is healthy or not. So many women will tell me, I started eating in an unhealthy way and I stopped working out and I stopped walking because my husband doesn't do it. And so many of us fall into that mindset, into those habits when we end up in a relationship. But that is your fault. You are choosing to lower your standards because of your spouse, when in reality, we should be calling them out and asking them to get on our level if we are the healthier spouse. We need to lead by example. And if your spouse isn't going to be healthy, then you better be, because at some point you're going to have to take care of your spouse if they're not taking care of themselves. A lot of people will tell me, I can't afford to take that leap. Most people overspend on asinine things every month. If you were to truly sit down and evaluate your budget, I know very few people who do not spend in excess on things that don't need spent on. So I don't believe it when people tell me that they don't have enough money to invest in their health, in their future, in their bodies, in the things that they need to do and want to do. It is a priorities issue. Or the people who say the timing's just not right. Maybe next year, maybe next week, maybe next month. Ladies, the timing is never going to be better. The best time to have done the thing you need to do was years ago. So the best time to start is now. So if you keep telling yourself, I want to accomplish this thing, I want to do this thing, we are running out of time. Time is not an infinite thing that we have, and we need to start showing up and taking action. What you have to remember is imperfect action will always beat inaction. If you say maybe next year, you are telling yourself for the next year, I am going to get worse. I am going to dig the hole deeper. I'm going to start my journey at a worse point because I want to wait. That makes no sense. You and I both know it. So those lies we tell ourselves are not facts. They are fear-based narratives that keep you safe and keep you stuck. And the real truth is, you might not be able to control the cards that you were dealt, but you get to control how you play them and which ones you fold and get rid of. And most people never change, not because life is hard, but because they won't take ownership of what they can control. So let's talk about some real life examples of people who have had enough. And let's see how this plays out. So the first topic we're going to talk about is weight and health. People say, I don't have time to work out. Okay, but you scroll social media 2 hours a night, maybe even 30 minutes. Maybe it's not even 2 hours, but you scroll social media every single day, multiple times a day. You watch Netflix while snacking mindlessly every night. Most people wind down with TV. If you wind down with TV, you have time to work out. Work out in front of the TV. Get a walking pad, walk in front of the TV. I'm not saying you have to give up these other things you do, but we need to be realistic about how much time we're putting into things that don't make us better versus how much time we're putting into the things that do make us better. And if that balance is off, you have a problem. People who decide to skip meals and then binge later. People, for the sake of health, will say, I'm just gonna have a salad. I'm just going to have a small breakfast. I'm gonna skip breakfast. And then later in the day, they are binge eating cookies in the pantry. It doesn't make any sense. So the truth is, you've prioritized convenience and comfort or drastic measures over consistency. So until one day you get winded chasing your kid and that becomes enough. You realize, oh my gosh, I tried to climb up the stairs holding my baby while they were sleeping to put them in their bed and I'm out of breath. Or your kids ask you to go play with them because now they're in soccer and they need to practice and you can't do it. So what's going to be your enough? Is it going to be getting high blood pressure? Is it going to be the doctor telling you you have high cholesterol? Is it going to be developing diabetes or having a stroke? How far will you take it before enough is enough? Most women will live in a body that they hate for years and years and years and years, and they won't let that be their enough. They will wait until they are sedentary. They can't sleep. They are bloated every day. They hate how they look. They don't want to be in pictures. They don't have enough energy to play with their kids. And then maybe they hit enough. But even for that, there are so many women living that way and they still won't make a change. So what is your enough? Women will say, he doesn't support me. He doesn't listen. But when was the last time you brought intimacy to the table, emotionally, physically, or spiritually? When was the last time you chose understanding in a conversation over defensiveness? You know, many people complain about their relationship while refusing to lead in it until one day the love is gone and that becomes their enough. But at that point, you haven't committed any time and energy and effort into keeping the relationship strong. You have to reach a point that it's a breaking point and you guys are talking about divorce before you decide to actually be proactive about your marriage and try and build it better. Let's talk about your careers and your calling. People will tell me every day, my job is draining me. I hate my boss. I want to do something different, but I'm stuck. But you're not applying anywhere else. You're not trying to build a side hustle. You're not starting your own business. You're numbing out with shopping or wine after work and complaining to your friends. So do you actually want a different job? Do you actually want more money? Do you actually want the promotion? Or do you just want something to complain about? And people will do this until one day you get passed up on a promotion again and that becomes your enough, that you decide, I need to change jobs. I need to start showing up better. I need to be on time. I need to give this work my all if I really want to move up in this company, if I really want the promotion, if I really want to be considered a high performer in my job. We have to take ownership there. So it is our duty to take radical ownership of our life, and we have to flip the script. So we're going to talk about 3 steps of taking back your power. And the first part is not fun, but we need to audit our excuses. You need to ask yourself, what are the top 3 complaints I keep repeating in my life? And what do I keep blaming on other people or circumstances? What stories do I tell myself that are keeping me comfortable? And then you need to ask yourself, what is the part that I play in this? You can't fix what you won't own. So when you can start to understand of those complaints, of the blaming, of the stories you tell yourself, what are you allowing? What do you have the power to change? And what needs to shift? Once you own it, you can change it. We have to break up with the victim mentality. You are not powerless. Even if your circumstances are hard, and yes, they may be very hard, you still have the power of choice. You have the power to use your words. You have the power of implementing habits. You have the power of your faith, and you have the power to decide who and what you surround yourself with. You are not a product of your past. You are a product of what choices you make today. You are an adult. It does not matter how you were raised. You are a person who can make the choice to change that. And we have to pick an area and take action. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight, but you need to move the needle. So maybe that looks like booking a therapy session, joining a fitness program and getting a coach, having a hard conversation with your partner, waking up 30 minutes earlier so you can start prioritizing the things you've said you don't have time for, whether that's drinking coffee in silence so you can start your day in a regulated state for your kids and your husband, whether that's giving yourself time to do affirmations and devotionals and spend time with God, even though you've said you've been too busy for that, whether that's getting ahead of work early in the day because that's when you're most productive. It might be a simple choice like drinking water throughout the day instead of a bunch of soda that's not serving your goals. It might be saying no to a thing that you always say yes to, but you dislike doing. Momentum starts with micro decisions. A lot of people think they need to upheave their whole life and make all the changes at once and make some big drastic shift. It honestly comes from our daily choices. The things that we do on a day-to-day basis are the things that are going to make the biggest difference. So I want you to reflect on these questions. You can journal them, you can meditate on them, but you need to think them through. What's the thing I keep complaining about but never change? What would my life look like if I finally took action on this thing? What am I allowing that I know is not serving me? What have I been blaming on others that I should be taking responsibility for? What's one decision I can make today that will shift my trajectory in life? Ladies, you can't keep praying for a breakthrough while refusing to change your behavior. You can't complain about your life while being unwilling to lead yourself. Change doesn't come when it's convenient. Change comes when you're done listening to your own excuses. And at some point you have to say, I'm not going to be another story of what could have been. I'm going to lead myself differently. I'm not waiting for permission to change. I am going to choose where my life goes. So friends, if you're listening to this now and you feel that stirring in your gut, that little whisper that says, I am done, I am ready, I want more, I deserve more, please don't ignore it. That's your spirit waking up. That's your personal power kicking in. That's the moment everything changes. Enough is enough. Now let's get to doing something about it.